your desires to change the world is disappearing, your concept of how people should be behaving, all this thing is changing. So what else is left to do? There's only one journey. You go within. So the flow that is happening between two ends is only our concepts of two ends. Even the concepts of manifestation and unmanifestations are now blurring now. So first we said life is an energy. Then we said life could be manifest or unmanifest. But that also two ends, because it's a solid thing. We recognize birth as a birth. We recognize death as a death. So for us they are like fixed events. Rajneesh says, come out of that concept also. There is no birth and there is no death. It's a continuous process because everything is happening simultaneously. So the flow of energy going from birth to the death, creation to the non-creation that we call non-creation, all these things is also connected by the flow of energy. So energy is in a constant dance, and that dance is just existence. You cannot even call existence it's just one total existence. That concept we have to start accepting. So even if in the journey that you take, a spiritual journey within, and if you come across your own badness, what do? You accept it. The badness, if you start condemning the badness even within you, then also you creating another whirlpool of ideas. Oh, I want to change that, I want to change that. Just the way you cannot change people, you cannot change yourself until the change comes from within. So Rajneesh says that even your badness and the goodness and all that, come out of the ideas of goodness and badness. Forget about those ideas. Just become an observer. Once you observe something, the badness starts losing its grip. The materialism starts losing its grip. If you just learn how to just observe, because observation is very powerful. Because at the observation level, you are that. You are that infinite consciousness who is watching that so-called goodness, so-called badness. In meditation, you don't have to praise yourself just because you help someone, because you donated X amount of dollars, just because you built big mansions, just because you helped your kids who did not even need a help, that you think, things like that. All those flatteries also does not have any meaning. At the same time, if you had some bad thoughts, you don't have to condemn yourself either. Condemnation itself is another thought. So thoughts are itself your belief in the samsara. Thoughts are also useless. Then only you're stepping into the zone of bliss, where concepts don't exist, goodness does not exist, badness does not exist. There is just one continuous flow of consciousness. You reach that zone. So the same way outside, if you think that somebody is like morally straight, believe me, he's not 100% morally straight. Every person who appears morally 100% straight could have immoral thoughts inside, and somebody who looks immoral could have very good thoughts about someone else also. It all factors. Somebody who looks very rich, in a different circle, he'll be the poorest man. So, so in your eyes, he may be the richest guy, but in somebody else's eyes, he may be the poorest guy. So I have a friend, he caters to all the big circles, right? And then he was invited to a 7-star hotel somewhere in New York City where they had donated to, train interns from the Indian community that he wants to hang out with all these big circles and all that. So he goes for a dinner, and then when the time comes to the donation, right? So he puts down $2,000 check. He says, Shanique, believe me, I was the lowest. One guy donated $400,000. The guy owned some high-tech company or something. He felt so little, but he does not escape any opportunity to show that he's better than everybody else when he walks around. So again, it's all relative. And it's so futile. It's so flimsy to be in that state. So definitely you feel pity for people like that. But if you getting caught into that, feel pity for yourself too, because it's not necessary. Goodness, badness is all relative. It's all energy. So when you start realizing, your ego starts going down. So all these ideas and concepts should disappear from our mind. There was a story of a guy who had a habit of drinking, and then his wife one day, tired, well, actually this is how it started. One day the guy came and was very abusive and all that, and wife actually thought that husband is very straightforward, and she didn't know about all these things. And he says, what happened to you? Did you get drunk today or what? He says, no, all these days that I used to come was drunk every day, but today I did not drink. So when he did not drink, he was not calm anymore. So now her concepts of what an ideal husband should be also broken apart. So this is what your real form. Then I don't want this husband, I would rather have a drunk husband, right? So again, concepts can be changed very easily if we really give it time, right? So goodness and badness and all those are relatives. There are no criminals and there are no sinners and there are no moralistic people. They're all the same. It's just the degree of manifestation. How much inner light you've been able to manifest is all there is. So how much you are staying in contact with yourself when you do tap and you expect other people to come and serve you and show your name showing up in a that, oh, you did this and you did that and all that. You're not doing anything. You're still in samsara. You have not made your journey into the spirituality. So don't like goodness just because it appears good, and don't hate badness just because it appears bad. Have an open view with everyone, and that equalizes your relationship with everybody. So that way, one, you are relieved from running after goodness and badness and all that, but also the label factory is put at rest. You don't have to give any labels to any events. Everybody who's behaving badly, okay, maybe they're going through that evolution of their own spiritual world. Maybe they will learn someday. Everybody who is good, believe me, okay, there is nothing wrong with praising goodness, but believe me, that also could be hidden weaknesses that you don't know. So you're stopping your journey into the sansar, your run, the door, all these things, after people and away from the people and all these things. You accept everybody and everything. That's what Vijay says. Everything is okay, nothing matters. That attitude you have to develop. So the same thing, rules, regulations, ethics, moralities and all these things are just rules. They are written and pages and thousands of scriptures and all that would not mean anything until you experience it yourself. So you transcend the goodness, you transcend the badness, you transcend the existence, you transcend the non-existence, manifestation, unmanifestation, you transcend everything. So basically, your desire to change, you transcend your ideas also. So at the body level, the mind level, and at the intellect level, everything comes to rest. And then what happens is Paramatma. Because every time you will attach yourself, you will have to worry about losing it. If two lovers meet, all of a sudden they say, I hope we don't get separated. So they have hardly met, hardly spent few days, and now they're already worried about it. What if the society will separate us and this and that, and continues the journey. As soon as you make some money, and they say, I hope my relatives don't come after me to get this and that. So it just goes on and on, that worries start with the so-called ownership or gaining and all that. So clinging to the life actually makes you weak. It makes you hostage to whatever you have owned. If you want to run after something, you are a hostage to the concept that money is good, or such and such girl is good, I want to have her, or boy, whatever. Once you attach yourself, then your dance starts. Dhyato, Visayam punsa sangatesu upajayate sangat sanjayate kama kamat krodh abhijayate krodhat bhavati sammoha sammoha smriti vibram smriti vanshat viddhanasho buddhinasho pranashati. 2 shloks in Gita says that once you attach yourself to an object, that object makes you dance. And then you don't listen to your friends. You don't listen to your well-wishers. For them, that is the real thing. And once that object makes you dance, that becomes your dance of your life, not the dance of consciousness. And you create your own dance. It's like you go to Navratri and you have your own circle. You keep running around and you're not dancing with the whole community that is there. And that's the pleasure, but you're missing that. And then the object controls everything and you lose your intellect. Intellect meaning your ability to judge right from wrong, and you get into anger mode, and then buddhinasha, pranashati, ultimately you get destroyed. So all that could have been avoided if you had not saying that this is good and this is bad. That badness and goodness concept made you go after. First exposure to drugs, you could say, okay, this is good because my friends are doing this, I will fit into this circle better, so let me do this. So your efforts will go in, and after 6 years, 5, 6 years or 10 years, you may be in the jail and they may be walking around, who knows. So all this thing starts with the first belief, and that's how sukshma or how minute the spirituality is. It's very subtle. At a very subtle level, if we cannot control our thoughts, and I'm saying controlling is a wrong word because I just said control should not be there.
Manage.
Understanding, management or observation of what is right, what is wrong. At that higher platform, you can see all these things. Then your desire to be accepted in a certain crowd, your desire to fit into the crowd will disappear. This is what I am. I don't have to do anything to fit with you or you or you. I am, and I respect you to be the same thing too. But your external behavior should not be the guiding factor for me to run after and change the course of my life. I am like a steady rock, and I'm enjoying my rock steadiness. And if you want to come and join me, that's fine too. But not, that's fine too. Like that. So clinging to the life weakens you. It takes away your spiritual power. But most of the people don't realize because they're donating their power to the object. That object has that power. It is totally donated to you. A Kit Kat that used to be my favorite had taken away my so much energy out of that. I used to go like 2-3 times a week to the cafeteria. They knew exactly what I was there for. They say, okay, here you go, Dr. Shah. I couldn't quit. I wanted to give it up. My cholesterol, triglycerides, I couldn't give it up. Until I said, all right, what am I going to do now? And in Jainism, they said that whatever your addictions are always going to be way of your life. You have to accept the addiction first. Total acceptance. And that acceptance separates you from the addiction. So that separation has started. You accept. So Mahavir Swami said, and I applied his theory, that addictions are going to be way of life. Once you start realizing that's what it is, then you have to start putting your own conditions. So that way, yes, you are addicted to it, but this is my condition. So I thought about it. I said, what kind of conditions I'm going to put? So I said, well, this thing is full of calories, full of butter and sugar and all. I shouldn't be eating. So I said I should be eating occasionally, right? So I took the word occasion seriously. I said I'll eat it on occasions. So on February 14th, Valentine's Day, I can have it. So in January, I'm making that decision. So I'm telling me that I cannot have it until February 14th. But on Valentine's Day, hell breaks loose. I had 3 of them. And my stomach got upset, right? So I said, okay, but then February 15th, you cannot have it until Easter. So I kept on waiting for Easter to come. Easter again, I had like a couple of them. And then it went to Memorial Day. And then ultimately my contact with the object started cutting down. The object's power on me started weakening. And then my Atma, my spiritual self, started becoming more and more strong. And then come July 4th, I couldn't care less for racist species. I'm just giving an example what I went through. But everybody has to do their own exercises. And your object may be, you may laugh at racist species peanut cover, but you may have your own addiction. Somebody else may have somebody else's addiction. So I had a beautiful thing. I had one couple. They were saying like, because one guy was so obese, right? But otherwise he was a nice guy. So whenever his wife came, I told him, I said, listen, this guy, is not listening to me and this and that. You know what she told me, the truth of life? He says, Dr. Shah, everybody has their own addictions. She was addicted to smoking. He says, I cannot give up my smoking. So how do I expect him to give up his? It was very impartial. I mean, she was accepting it, but it was, not that both are good. I'm not talking about that. But at least she was giving him the freedom and to realize that he also has to make his own journey to come out of his addiction, just the way I have to do the same thing too. Of course, they both were addicted to wrong things, no question about it. But it made me realize to have a balanced view of life. So, once this happens, goodness, badness will disappear, winning, losing will become immaterial. Lao Tse once said, he was a great philosopher from China, they said, nobody can defeat me. So his friends got excited. He said, what do you mean? You are that powerful? He says, why don't you teach us that technique that we will always win? He says, no. Because you want to win, you can lose. I never want to win. Whatever happens is acceptable with me. So my desire to win is what's making me lose. If I don't have a desire to win, who can defeat me? That is my philosophy of life. So actually his friends declared he was going to go to one of the village. He was passing by, spreading his philosophical knowledge and all that to other people. So they declared that Lao Tse is saying that nobody can defeat him. So there was a big Palwan, a bodybuilder in the village. He says, I'm going to teach him a lesson. So he says, so before Lao Tse walks in, a whole stage was set up to, has a big fight. And Lao Tse was supposed to, Lao Tse was like a single body. He was a typical, and this guy, bodybuilder, is standing in front. He says, come on, I want to show you. You think that you cannot be defeated, this and that. Lao Tse, wait, 1 minute. Lao Tse laid down. He says, come, sit on my chest. You are the winner. He says, you're a winner, no problem. I don't have to win. So I win all the time. Yeah. So ability to bend according to the life that comes around you is a very unique characteristic that you want to have. So Pelwan said, the bodybuilder says, how can I fight with someone who doesn't want to fight? He says, you are the winner. Fine. So all the taste of beating you to death is gone. So I don't want to fight anymore. Fine, let you go. So he walked out winner, in a way. So once Lao Tse went into a jungle with his friends, and he noticed that a lot of trees were chopped off. But one tree was not chopped off, and it's still tall. It's very nice tree looking, So he tells his followers, he says, go and find out how come all these people who are cutting the trees have not cut that tree. So the guys went to him and he says, no, we don't want to deal with that tree. He says, what do you mean? So he says, why don't you cut? You will have a firewood and all that. He says, no. This wood, if you put it in a fire, nothing but fumes come out. Fire never happens. It's so much full of water. So it's useless. He says, maybe you can build, a hut or something out of that if there is a lot of strength in the wood. He says, no, the wood is so weak that you cannot even bend. You cannot even make it sturdy to make columns enough to build a hut. He says, well, how about the leaves? You can feed the leaves to the animals. He said, no, are you kidding? These leaves taste so bad. No animals want to eat. So by not being useful to the society, the tree made sure that it survives. The trick for the tree to survive was not trying to show off that I am the strongest, I am the most appealing foliage I have, or I can be such a great